Let me show you how to understand this framework. So you have democracy, and then you have autocracy. These are your two poles. And this is the binary of the entire Wilsonian order, and the entire rules-based international order. And everything in CIA land operates along this axis. The way we traditionally call the litmus test for whether something is one or the other is open society, and autocracy, closed society. Now, this is very deliberate. The reason this is the consensus back of the napkin litmus for whether we call something a democracy or an autocracy is because open means open to our control. How open is it for us to control it? Do they box out our media? Do they box out our union groups? Do they box out our judges? Do they box out the prosecutors we want to be in power? Do they box out the president we want to be in power? The prime minister that we want to be in power? Have they opened up their oil to us? Have they opened up their aluminum, their copper, their cobalt, their lithium, their diamonds, their gold, their wheat, their bananas? If they've opened it to us, we call them a democracy. You don't need to vote. It ain't about that. You can think of it like, this is going to sound awful. Feels a little uncouth. This is a joke. I don't mean it. It's just my tongue is in my cheek. If you imagine a butthole, okay? We call something a democracy or an autocracy is just about whether or not they leave their butthole open for us to ram things through it, or if they close up their butthole so we can't put anything in. That is literally the only difference. It's not about voting, okay? Nope. Might think, voting, but the CCP has no votes, so no voting. No. We will lean into that sometimes as a pretext, okay? It's not what it is. The only question is open butthole for the blob or closed butthole. If they close their butthole, we send in the following agencies to open it up. If a country closes its butthole, and we therefore designate it an autocracy, it's oppressing its institutions, it's oppressing its people, that is what creates the predicate to descend on the autocracy and then shift it from a closed butthole to an open one. Okay? These guys are not allowed. They are not allowed to go here. This is not allowed. So what happens if you have a country like Hungary with Viktor Orban, or a country like Poland with the PIS party, or a country like Brazil with Bolsonaro, or a country like Italy with Matteo Salvini, India with Modi, or a country like the United States with Trump? They can't argue the election was illegitimate. They can't argue there's no democratic mandate. They have to create a middle ground called an illiberal democracy. It's a smaller node. It's somewhere halfway between democracy and autocracy. So the idea behind the CIA action is that you are taking a red thing and you are blue shifting it. You're transitioning it to democracy. That's why they call it democratic transitions. That's why USAID has the Office of Transition Initiatives. You're prying its butthole open. Okay? Now what they say is democracies can go backwards. This is this new concept of democratic backsliding. And what they say is you can have a democracy, but sometimes the darn thing, because of the way people vote in the democracy, it starts backsliding. This process for this term, this is what they call democratic backsliding. Now, my main feedback on the Data Republican thread is that getting into an argument about whether something is or isn't democratically backsliding is missing the entire point of the concept. The entire point of the concept is to get rid of this. Let me explain what I mean by this. When you are seeking a green light at the CIA level, and you say, we're going to overthrow the government of Brazil, the National Security Council says, okay, what'd they do? What'd they do wrong? Well, nothing. Can't really think of anything. They have oil relations with Russia. Or Bolsonaro is going against the vaccines. He's railing against the vaccines. Nobody in Brazil is taking them. He's not buying any supplies. Bill Gates is a major donor. Pfizer is a major donor. It's a market of 220 million people, and plus it could set off a domino effect of all these other countries. Pick your reason. Well, shit, says the National Security Council. Shit, says the president. We can't say that. We can't tell the New York Times, we're going to overthrow a democratically elected government. We're going to send in the CIA as we send in Bill Burns. We're going to send the State Department. We're going to send in USAID with the tens of millions of USAID programming. We're going to send in the military as we sent Lloyd Austin to Brazil to protect the profits of Pfizer and do favors for Bill Gates. Oh, well, he's also in a big war with the IMF. He's not agreeing to the terms for the loans. Oh, well, that's a big problem. Yeah, it is a big problem. We can't overthrow their government because of it, though. Lula's going to get on good with them. We need a retail reason to sell to the American public. We need to be able to sell this. We're toppling the largest country in the Western Hemisphere with the largest military. It's the number 10 economy in the entire world. This would be a massive scandal if we just called them a straight-up autocracy and just regime change them as an autocracy. So we need a way to sell this to justify U.S. aid going into what is ostensibly an already open butthole. These people are only allowed to go into closed buttholes to pry them open. If it's an open butthole, then they're good. The problem is we've created this thing, the semi-puckered asshole. That's what illiberal democracy means. Illiberal democracy just means semi-puckered asshole. So we are not allowed to use these on full-fledged democracies, but we always use them against autocracies. So how do you get the green arrow? Green means green light here. What you do is you simply say that the democracy is backsliding towards illiberal democracy, and so we're going to use less of the State Department resources, less CIA action, less USAID funding than we would in the case of an autocracy. But yeah, it's still a threat to democracy because it's halfway to an autocracy. And then this gets them the green light, the authorization, and what they do is they just crank that up to 11 anyway and treat it like it's an autocracy anyway. And then from there, they can shift the illiberal democracy, a semi-puckered butthole, to a fully open one. Does that make sense? So this concept of an illiberal democracy is simply, democratic backsliding is what gets you from here to here, and therefore allows this. It allows you to crack open the Central Intelligence Agency, the State Department, USAID, DOD civil military, the NGOs, the IMF, the World Bank. You get it? Is that helpful? Again, it's all made possible because of this turn of phrase. One little rhetorical trick going unchallenged. Oh, well, I guess that's a legitimate concept. Once you accept the legitimacy of this, and you accept the legitimacy of this, then this becomes a fait accompli. You checkmate yourself. So while I loved seeing that thread, and there were lots of great pulls from there, I talk about it in different terms because to even accept the terms on their face is to already lose. So I go upstream of the debate they want to have and say, no, actually, this concept entirely is illegitimate. Notice I did the same thing in the censorship debate. I don't go into, well, what is true? What is disinformation? What isn't disinformation? What is misinformation? No, I went upstream of it. I said it's censorship. Don't give a shit. You want to get in all these fine little layers about malinformation? How about this? The entire concept of the field of disinformation studies is illegitimate and will not receive a single fucking dollar of federal funding. Now go ahead, have your little academic debates about democratic backsliding, toxic conversations being a signal of democratic backsliding, the unfettered spread of election disinformation being one of the classic hallmarks of democratic backsliding. Go ahead, because I've moved the debate upstream of that. You can debate yourself, while at the legal and regulatory and funding level, We don't give a flying fuck about the distinction because we know what the whole thing is. Make sense?